Hello, everyone. I decided to do something a little different than what I normally build. Doing more of an A-frame type house, and I got the idea after kind of browsing some different homes online, and I found one that just looked really cute. It was a little cottage. So I decided I was going to try to recreate it in The Sims. And if you know anything about The Sims, that usually doesn't work very well. The reason being is that you can't do a lot of things in The Sims as you can in real life. So I made a good effort. I really like how it turned out, but it was a process. It took me probably around 4 hours to do this build. And as you can see, I've changed it around quite a bit. The original build had the entrance on the left-hand side of the house. But as I was building this, I realized I needed to mirror it because who wouldn't want to look out at that awesome water? So I changed it a little bit. Still looks good. I didn't have pictures of anything but the front, or possibly the back. It may have been the back of the build. The doorway area is almost exact to what the build looks like, but where I have those windows might be like a sliding glass door that goes out. So I'm thinking this might actually be the back that I had been looking at. But it still inspired me to create a pretty cute cottage, actually. So I do want to say with this build, the bedroom is upstairs in the attic area. So it might be tricky to play a little bit, but not impossible. There's definitely a house for just one, maybe two Sims. And it definitely has that cozy cottage vibe. So I call it a win. I also had a little trouble with the floor plan here. I kept thinking, the dining room's too big, then the kitchen's too big, and then I realized that it'll be fine the way it is. So also playing with the stairs, and I will tell you, trying to build in like an attic area in The Sims is really difficult. It is not that hard in real life. But I still think it's cute. It definitely has that cozy vibe. And as I said, you can play in it. And the reason being is I put this little like jut out area, which is in the original inspired build I saw. So it worked perfectly for like a bedroom up there. And just kind of trying to add in a few things. Had fun with the fireplaces. There is only one fireplace. I think I took out that extra chimney that you see, but I can't remember. And then the windows. I had a lot of fun trying to place these windows, and then I kept changing my mind as to which ones I wanted to use. So you'll see I go through a couple of different things there. Also had forgotten I wanted a fireplace downstairs, because what is a cottage without a fireplace, right? I don't think it qualifies as a cottage, at least in my opinion. The other thing I wanted this to have was kind of this, I could say, glassed in, screened in area. I glassed it in because in my mind, this is in a cold climate, and we want to be able to use this room year round. I know in The Sims it doesn't matter. However, in my mind it does. So we are going by what my mind says and not what the game says. So as you can see, I also was trying to get it as hard as I could, these walls to work with me. However, it's The Sims. So I'm just kind of trying to hide the fact that the walls don't match up and it looks like, the outside's inside. I do it pretty well on this side. The other side was a little more difficult just because I couldn't do as much with it, but it works. I also want to say, put this cute little shelf in there. It stays. So if you want to replace things without having to use move objects, that shelf stayed right there above that dresser. And you can change out whatever you want up there. I thought that was a cute little touch that I could add, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I got to get this shelf out. I got to move this. It's annoying. And it fits. You can't even tell it's there. So the only problem you'll have is if you move the dresser. Alright, so adding in a little bit of clutter, putting in a little decor. I wanted to keep it simple up here. Just because, like, personally for my gameplay, I probably wouldn't spend a whole lot of time in this room, just because it's difficult to see in it. I mean, you can bring the walls down. That's what I normally do in builds like this. But you're not going to see any of the decorations. So that's the other reason I kept it simple. I also really like this bathroom area. It's just cute. No little jut out, as I like to refer to it. And yes, I know there's a window in the closet. It didn't look right from the outside if I didn't put a window there. I'm sorry if that bothers you. So I wanted to add a little bit of a rug in here too, so that took me a few minutes to figure out what I wanted to put in. But it, eventually I get it, and it works. There's lots of blue in this house. My favorite color is blue, so I do tend to go toward blue. I'm trying to get away with it, or away from it. And you'll see that down here. The kitchen has some blue to it. I think the dining room might too. But the living room, it has blue, but it also has a color like I'm not a huge fan of personally, which is yellow. So I decided I wanted to use some yellow in this build too. So we have our blues, but we also have it with some yellow. And it's not a lot. It's just a tiny little bit. Now, in another build that'll be up next week, that one has more yellow in it. Because I'm trying to use it a little more, because I don't normally. And what I like with this cottage is it's small. It has that cozy feeling to it, but it's still playable. So that's a big thing for me. You can make these cute little cottages, but half the time you have to take half the stuff out of it because you can't get around in it. So I try to make my builds that way. I really do want to do one that's maybe a cluttered mess that's just pretty to look at. But I keep going, back to my normal. So eventually that'll happen. Finding artwork for this little area was more challenging than I thought. So I kind of centered on this painting here and then putting some clutter on the table. And, just cluttering up the rest of everything. We've got to have some decor. That's the whole point of me doing the build for you, right? So you don't have to do much of anything. Though with my builds, I do try to leave you some room to make it your own. Now this dining room, I Could not figure out what I wanted to do in it. I knew that table, and that was about it. So that's why I moved on to the kitchen and started working on that because I just could not figure that out. This is where I realized I needed some more windows in this house. So went and did that. Added a door in the back, which I intended to do all along and just forgot. And then finishing up with the cabinetry. I do like when the cabinets have some variation with, it already has dishes, that type of thing in it. It makes my life a little easier. However, I wish we had more options that were different. So, like, we have the upper cabinet with the dishes in it. But that's, that's using like corner cabinetry, I believe. So I just wish we had, a few more options with colors or something. Or even one of these that didn't have something in it. That would be great. And then I could put something different in it. Because I really wanted to use the open more. But then it just becomes repetitive. So. All right. And I really do like how this kitchen turned out. I will say it's blank right now, and it stays blank for the entire build video. However, I did go back in and add some kitchen clutter to it. I realized as I was filming the walkthrough that the kitchen didn't have anything done. And I also don't show you the build of the bathroom or the lower bathroom because I forgot to do it. So I went back through and did that. I didn't record it in the walkthroughs, mostly because the bathrooms are really hard to get a good visual on when they're this small. So neither one of the bathrooms I've actually walked through at the end, but they're there. They're both there. They both work. I promise. All right. So I'm figuring out the dining room finally. Though this part, I go through a few things. These candles, I kind of wanted to use them. Then I'm like, oh, I'll shrink them down. Then I remembered, yeah, if I do that, the flames are funny. So then I went a different direction. And eventually, I found these cute candles. And I went, it works. It works. So curtains, those were a little fun too, but I like how those turned out. And then, going around and kind of doing all the finishing touches on curtains and decor inside. This is where some more of the yellow comes in. I also wanted a bookshelf, but everything I put there it just seemed too big for the space. So I ended up putting this little wall bookshelf and a mirror. And I think it works. It looks really good. The other issue I had was this corner. I wanted to put some shelving in, and nothing I had was working that had stuff in it already. So I went ahead and used this shelf from Island Living. And I liked it. I think it allowed me to do or create the look I needed for this space. And I think it turned out really cute here. Eventually. Dining room. Like I said, I think that dining room alone took me over an hour to do. So I also wanted to do a little planter garden. I know this is like a cottage, and normally I wouldn't do something that's as planned looking as a planter like this, but I thought with the way this house was set up on the outside, this is somebody who kind of, likes to garden, likes to be in there. So I'm like, a planter in the front works. And I like it. The other problem I had was this dang fireplace. I I ended up not liking it much at all, but eventually I get that figured out too. Now this walkway I absolutely love. Did some stonework. This took me a little while, so I sped this up quite a bit. But it's so cute. I need to do this more. I really do. So yeah, here's me figuring out the fireplace. Because I wanted it to match the stonework that was on the cottage, and it wasn't working. So eventually I gave up and went down here to where these cute little planters are. I absolutely love that little alcove area. That was what made me want to do this build. That was in the original build, and it was really cute because in the original build that inspired me, the alcove area was actually like a wood backdrop on the back, and of course I couldn't do that in The Sims, but I think I got a few things in there to kind of help recreate that look. So here I decided I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do with this room. Part of me wanted it to be a greenhouse, and then the other part of me was like, no, I want it to be like a, I don't know, all-purpose bonus room type thing. So eventually I decided that's what I was going to do with it. So I jumped back inside to work on this. And building it might be a little, I don't know, strange to you. How I went back and forth with stuff like moving the space. While I was building this, I was also holding my cat, who is part Maine Coon. So he was in my way. I couldn't use my keyboard, and I was trying to get this done. And yeah, he's a spoiled brat, and he knows it. But he finally jumped off, and I was able to finish putting things where I wanted them. And so I also wanted to create this cute little outdoor area. You know, in my mind, you're here in the summer, beautiful view of the lake. You're going to have a fire pit. You're going to have some swings out there. And I think it just adds to the appeal of this cottage. Okay, so now I'm just kind of adding in the terrain paint, make it look lived in, a few more bushes. And really, like, with most of my cottage builds, I really like to have that overgrown type look. And I think I accomplished that well here. The other thing I decided here was, since I replaced the fireplace, I wanted more windows. So back in, still playing. If you do any building in The Sims, you completely understand what's going on here. You change your mind constantly. I've actually done it where I've done a build, played in it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 regular days, and then completely changed, like, a whole room in it, because I'm like, no, I decided I like something else. So, all right, so I just wanted to add a little bit to the front porch area to create some interest, and I figured this person has a rocking chair on their front porch. In my mind, that's exactly what's here. So now just adding a few things. Lighting's important. You gotta have light, and then of course some more, bushes. Just kind of checking everything to make sure it's the way I want it, at least at the moment. And overall, I think it turned out pretty good. I still don't know, because that was my check to make sure I had everything done, and I still don't know how in the world I managed to miss that dang bathroom. Oh well. Alright, so here is the finished house, and I am going to go ahead and take you on a tour through it. Alright, so here's the living room area. We'll get a little bit better look at this after we look into what I'm going to call the greenhouse. I had some really choppy video that I didn't realize was so choppy until I rewatched it. But here we go. A little bit better view of the living room and the fireplace. And you can see, like I said, a little bit of yellow accents in there. And I guess really this is like a blue-green, so it's not really blue, right? And a little bit more, I don't know, modern, classic dining room area. And then here's the kitchen after I added the clutter. And then the upstairs, the little like reading nook area. And then the bed area. And then going in back so you can see where I have a desk and a bookshelf. Trying to hide that. Trying to hide that wall. It just wasn't working with me. And then the outside area. Alright, I do hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more builds. You guys have a great day. Bye now.